that you got to be patient too. This wasn't an overnight process. Just to give y'all a little timeline of how long this took, I graduated from NC State, May 1996. I started up my company in 1997, but I didn't have anything just but a name, you know. And then I told you I had to go through that process of registering the logo and all this stuff. So I mean, it was a process all along, starting out with the bandanas, like we were talking, starting out small, you know, and just building, you know, and then it went from bandanas to, you know, books, and then, like I said, the vinyl and CDs and all that stuff, to eventually, we ended up, you know, just becoming bigger. And after we got in a video, I started getting bigger shows. We even started performing outside of North Carolina area, Miami, Florida. I was performing down there. I got invited by Luke of 2 Live Crew to come down to the Mojo Festival and perform. We kept doing Miami, and I made some contacts with a lot of Cubans down there. Next thing you know, I was performing overseas in Cuba. So see, I mean, it didn't happen overnight. You know, it was a process, and it's one with ups and downs. I mean, you know, you don't have those times when you want to give up. You're like, man, forget this. But you can't sit there and listen to yourself at those moments. You have to ignore yourself at that moment and be like, no, I'm gonna stick to this. You know, I started it, I'm gonna finish it. And eventually, after the Cuba show and everything, opportunity came up to do some shoes. I found out about a company out of Italy, and they were, you know, like, you know, if you are trying to do your own shoe, you come up with the design and you come up with, I think it was like $400. They were like, you know, we can sit there and help you come out with a shoe that's actually marketable. You can actually, you know what I'm saying, sell it online, and it advertises our brand. So now this is a long ways from bandanas. You know what I'm saying? Shoes are a long ways from bandanas. But that's what I'm saying. It didn't just happen overnight. And things, like I said, we started to get bigger. And then eventually, just recently, I was approached with the opportunity to be in this movie, like I was telling you all about. And the movie, like I said, it was directed by Burgess Jenkins. And I didn't even know they were gonna have some other stars in there too. Vonnie Bristow from Snowfall. He also played in, I don't know if y'all seen the Michelle A documentary. He played Ice Cube in that documentary. But to make a long story short, I said, okay, you know, this is a long ways from how I started out. And then that's what eventually led up to the vinyl right here that I was showing you all, that went along with the movie. And it's out in stores now. Still promoting the brand and everything, but now instead of selling stuff out the trunk of my car, I actually have an office space now, based out of Winston. So
that's in Robin.
That's right, it's in Robin Hood Road. My son's got his chair and desk over there in the corner, and wife has her, you know, desk and chair over there in the other corner, and we all just in there, and you know, we're still going at it, but at a whole nother level now. And so that's why I wanted to tell you all, it took more than just me rapping on the mic to make it. And I left out this part, I didn't get a chance to tell you all. Once I got invited down to Miami, I quit my job. Because I had already had, you know, I had gotten to a point where I could, you know what I mean? So I wasn't a struggling artist. I had actually gotten to that point where I was actually making enough money now to where I was able to support what I was doing. But now don't get me wrong, not rich or nothing, but I mean, I can maintain the level of life that I'm living right now and enjoying it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and that's what I was telling Mark about. a lot of times I think everybody, sometimes we see on TV, they kind of push that dream of, you know, millions and billions and all this stuff, which is great for some who are able to do that. But there is another another lane that you can go, and you may not make the millions and the billions and all that, but if you're really trying to do your craft and you're trying to do it, you know, and make some money for a living, then you can do that. You know, it's obtainable. And that's why I'm trying to let everybody know and let you know how to do it, kind of giving y'all the blueprint, I guess you could say, of how I did it. And this is what works. And I just wanted to let y'all know that you can do it. But the main thing I gotta stress to you, it takes time, but if you got the patience and you just hold on, and you know what I'm saying, and like I said, most of y'all are trying to get a full-time job anyway after you graduate. So this is not too much of a deviation from what you're trying to do. It's like you're tweaking your plan a little bit. Instead of going out to get a house, you know, first-time buyer or whatever, apartment, whatever, ask whoever, you know, your parents, grandparents, guardian, you stay, you know what I'm saying? Hey, can I stay with you and bank my money? And I'm trying to start my business, and you know, hey, you never know what can happen from that little help, that, you know, that entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, I'm living proof of that. So I hope that was, you know, informative and helpful to anybody that was thinking about doing that. And y'all feel free to ask any questions if y'all have any. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to think how to word the question. So I guess how, if at all, like has your promotion and, like, I don't know, how you get yourself out there changed over time? Because obviously, like, in the early 2000s, it was, you know, you could make a phone call to BET and get your music out there. But now I guess it's a little different with, like, the internet and stuff. So, like, how has your promotion or style of business strategies changed over time?
I'm glad you mentioned that. You noticed a lot in my earlier conversation, I was talking about I call it. I don't call anybody now. I mean, everything is done through, like, social media, the internet. I mean, that's pretty much how I started getting overseas trips, you know, just communicating with the club owners over there in Cuba, stuff like that through the internet. The movie deal, email, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. It changed big time. You know, phone was the old way of doing it. Yeah, so now everything I do is just strictly, you know, internet. Yeah, so social media, internet. That's me and Mark. We connected. Didn't even know each other, but, you know, crossed paths. And what's funny is me and Mark were talking. Apple Juice Kid, who helped found BEATLAB with Mark. Me and Apple Juice go way back. He produced one of my tracks.
For the cancer song.
That's right, yeah, for the cancer song.
Now you perform at the field.
That's right, because I'm a cancer survivor, for those who don't know. So I made a cancer rap song. Apple Juice did the live drums on it and everything, because he's a percussionist. But he produces now. He produced for Wale. He produces for, is it Tiana Taylor? Yeah, Tiana Taylor. And some other people like that now. And he even produced for Sizzler over there in Jamaica. Yeah, so he's doing his thing. But so see, internet is how this came to be. So yeah, that was a very good question. Yeah, it's changed dramatically. That's how I do it. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah.
So I'm sure, like, earlier in your career, like, when there are opportunities, you take them. But the later you got into, like, or like the further you got into where you're, like, going, like, how did you know when to say no? Like, how did you know, like, okay, this I'm gonna take, but maybe not this one. I'm gonna pass up on this, but I want this. Like, how do you know which one? Or, like, what did you do to, like, kind of observe and, like, identify different opportunities that you wanted?
That's a good question. I'm gonna use this one as an example because me and my wife, we joke about this one a lot, but it's true. When I was about to go to perform in Cuba, me and my wife, I also got invited by a DJ to come and perform the night before we were about to fly out. Now, they were offering, you know, nice amount of money, but it was in a very bad area.
And you didn't want to mess up what you doing just because you want to help somebody else.
And to be frank, I did not want to get shot. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, the money sounds, but I'm like, that's a very bad area. And I'm about to go there. I was like, nah, and I said no. I said it very quickly. And but I wasn't trying to be mean or like conceited, thinking no, I can't do your event. It's not that. I mean, I value my life. You know, I mean, yeah, I love music, but I mean, you know, I'm not gonna put my life or my family's life in danger. You know, even though it may be, you know, some good money involved with the event. So, you know, my whole thing is trying to be anti-violence, you know. So, I mean, yeah, so I not just try and rap about it, but I try to, you know, live it as well. So, yeah, good question. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm curious. So, you're more of like a Christian rapper. So, do you think it's more difficult to find shows or promotions as a Christian rapper compared to, like, I don't know, other rappers who may be more vulgar?
Yes and no. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, yes and no, but I'll tell you why. Just being a music artist, period, is hard. No matter what genre. I mean, it's hard. Being a Christian rapper / positive rapper, sure. I mean, cause if I say, okay, mainstream wasn't really kind of like looking for that until you had let's say like Lecrae came along. Anybody know about Lecrae?
He's a Spanish Christian artist.
Well, no, he did a song with a Spanish Christian, but yeah.
Funky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I was gonna say but yeah, it's cause it was hard, but I would just say with any music artist, it's hard. Cause see, I've had friends that did different genres for me, and they had it hard too. You know what I mean? And some of them didn't even fare, you know, as well as I did. So I'm gonna just say, yeah, it was hard for me because I think when mainstream's not really looking for that, and not so much even Christian, just when they're not looking for something. They're not going. You know, it makes it a lot difficult. So but that's why I had to kind of create that own lane, because I was like, okay, I don't have that mainstream support, but if I do this and do this, I can get myself out there and get people to know who I am, and it ended up working. So, but but it's hard, yeah, and but one thing I will say that really helped me out, and this was point of this lecture, was the entrepreneurial side, because it kept money coming in. And I'm gonna just give y'all a very quick example. Just 2 weeks ago, some older vinyl, which I had out with my friends, and these were the ones I told you about. They didn't necessarily do the same type of music I did. They did other, but it was all still hip hop. These albums right here, I went to check on them, and this was like 2017. This one's like 2015. This one, DJ Luke Skywalker was on. I went in the store and I was like, just checking, because you know you have to check your product. They're not gonna tell you, hey, you got money. You know, they're like, no, we're doing you a favor by having it in the store. You can come and check on your stuff. So I went in there to check, and just random, I said, well, how did I do that? Sell anything? He said, yeah. He said, you know, he said you got like about $300-400, you know, this is my old stuff, not even my new stuff. So see, you can have money coming in, you know, from stuff if you do the entrepreneurial side, and it makes up for the lack, in my case, the lack of consistency at the time with my shows. Because like I said, I was getting good shows and it was nice money, but if it's not consistent though, you know what I'm saying? So this makes up for it. And that's the whole purpose of trying to, you know, share this with you all, so that if you all are aspiring to do music, you know, in whatever fashion, producing, rapping, you know, dancing, whatever, you know, you can do the business side, the entrepreneurial side. And you can sit there and, you know, just, you know, make up for that lack of consistent income. It helps out a lot. Because you think about it, you know, you got your stuff in about 10, 20 stores. And Might sell 300 at this one week. Next week you might sell 100, 200, another one. You know, but see, still money coming in. You're not a struggling artist. You're not, you know, broke. You're not making anything. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I'm trying to share with people. And like I said, and if you keep doing that, it builds over time because you're growing, your image is growing, you know, and so you're gonna get more shows and the whole nine, you know, sell more product. So yeah. But any other questions? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, when you were talking about your process when you were first getting recognized and getting started, you were like, all right, I hit this milestone and now I gotta make the video, and you're like, now I gotta get stuff on the street. Did you know, like, by watching other people's stories, or there's someone trying to tell you what I do, just kind of figured it out all on your own?
That's a good question. There's two parts to that. I didn't have anybody like right there, like, you know, literally in my face telling me, you know, James, you need to do it like this, you need to do it like that. But I was watching people, and Luke, who I mentioned, from Two Live Crew, even though like we did two different genres of music, but I watched how he did it because I remember when he first started, which I left this part out. I used to be a DJ. First started as a DJ first before I got into rapping. And I used to play his records and stuff and other people's records. And I remember when he first started, New York hated him. Called him garbage, called him corny. They used to be harsh on Luke. And the only place that was really showing him any, you know, love was Florida, where he's from. Miami, and of course North Carolina too. We showed him love. But he sat there, and because he was an independent label, he would just market himself. He had that at the time it was Luke Skywalker. He got in a little lawsuit because of the name, obviously, so he had to change to Luke Records. But he used to go by Luke Skywalker, and he would promote it. I mean, everywhere you look, Luke Skywalker Records, and everybody knew his logo, everybody knew his name, you know. And even before his music like really hit, I mean, you knew who Luke was. And so I just kind of followed that blueprint. And then there was another rapper, Too Short, out of Oakland. He had his own label. He was independent, you know. I was watching how they were doing out the trunk of the car. Scarface from the Ghetto Boys, you know, stuff like that. I would just, like, these guys that I used to play, I would watch their careers too. And I was like, you know, even though it's a different genre, the business side is always gonna be the same. That's no matter what, whether it's Christian music, whether it's secular music, whether it's English music, whether it's Hispanic, you know what I'm saying? It's always gonna be the same. And so I followed kind of that same blueprint, even though my genre was different, and that's what helped me. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. Yeah.
So like when you're like trying to book shows or book venues, like how would you say you like the negotiation? Like did you know take whatever at the beginning, or would you try to like propose different offers, or like were you just like willing to just do any type of show? Like how did you negotiate that in your experiences over the years?
Okay. Let me make sure I understand your question right. Are you asking me, like, did I take on different types of genres of shows? Maybe is that what you're asking, or
just more so like what was your like process of like booking different shows?
Okay, all right, yeah, okay, gotcha now. I did music, and I should have mentioned this too. I left this out. I do music in both English and Spanish. Yeah. So what I would do, I would market myself to both English and Spanish events. I would do a lot of Hispanic events. In Winston-Salem, they had Hispanic Festival and English Hispanic Festival. I would do that. I even performed at Hispanic churches.
Central Christiana.
Yeah, Central Christiana. And then I kind of started marketing myself to Hispanic nightclubs. And this was kind of interesting because there was I actually did Artistica in Greensboro, and the guy, his name is last name Pascal, but him and his wife Audra Pascal, she passed from cancer, but they actually wanted me to come in because his wife had cancer, and as I mentioned, I was a cancer survivor, and I had a cancer song. But I was like, okay, I can do this cancer song, but by rapping Spanish too, I can kind of introduce, the club to my Spanish songs. And so I ended up doing that, and then next thing you know, I got a call from a Hispanic radio station, and they were like, hey, we want you to come up here to the station, because see, once you start doing clubs, the word gets out, and Hispanic radio station was like, yeah, come up here, we want you to, they would call me Grande Gato. That would be my stage name when I rapped in Spanish. When I rapped in English, it was J.O.T. But, so anyway, and that interview was just, 2 years ago? The one at Buenos Aires, was it 2 years ago? It was Buenos Aires, it was 2 years ago.
You wasn't talking about that now.
Yeah. But that one
It
was...
was in 2022.
Yeah, sure was. So, yeah, a year ago. Yeah, and, it's...
So it was last year
Yeah,
when
that's
you
right.
did that
So
radio.
he remembers better than I do. But yeah, so like I said, my approach, a lot of times I would get asked, like I said, by people to perform. But when I wasn't getting asked, I would be proactive too. I reached out to those, like I said, club owners in Cuba, because I was performing in Miami, and the people who owned the clubs in Miami were Cuban. And they were like, my friend owns the club, blah, 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 you ought to call him, da, 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 y'all work that out, etc. And so, yeah, and when I would call people, I would let them know, like with the Cuba club, I said, I performed in Miami for several years, performed my Spanish at nightclubs here. Also, I performed at the Emoji Festival for Luke. I performed my Spanish song, Parganar. And just picture myself. And they were like, okay, well, cool, yeah, okay, and then usually that's when it gets into how much do you charge and this and that, So, but yeah, so that's how I kind of did it, Yeah, some would be people requesting, and then some was proactive. Yeah, but good question, good question. All right, and anybody else have any questions or?
Well, I have I want to. You have your boombox here. So what does that mean?
Yeah, we were gonna do a little something for y'all just to give y'all a little sample of the music.